shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it take a swim, only option is to win. In the murky water, not a thought of giving in. Welcome to the shrimp tank. Want to put it all together, this is big things. Doing big things. We ain't in the same league. Running a campaign, Roadie 2016. Like a phone to die, putting me in charge. I'm a general, from the front I'ma lead the charge. Like a federal, fell on my lap, never.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode here on the Shrimp Tank, powered by Celsius Beverage. This is your first time tuning in. You catch all these amazing episodes up on our website at shrimptankpodcast.com. We are joined every single week with my co-host, Dr. Kevin Cox, who's the director of the FU Adams Center for Entrepreneurship. And if you want to find out what is going on around the FU campus, just reach out directly to Kevin Cox. There's so many exciting things going on at FU today. But before we get into that stuff, Kevin, what's happening on December 3rd and 4th? There is some cool stuff on this campus occurring.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I can't wait for next week. We have the NobleCon conference, which is a great opportunity for business owners and entrepreneurs to connect with potential investors and see what later stage companies look like. So these are kind of like small cap public companies. They're much later than the entrepreneurs I typically work with, but they're not long-term established brands necessarily. So they're kind of the next phase. So it never hurts to learn from them. Then the next day is the most exciting part of that, right? The Croc Tank being hosted here at FAU with ABC's Sharks from the Shark Tank TV show. They are coming to our campus, and we're gonna have some fun with them in an exciting panel. This will not be boring, folks. I know the guy who's in charge of it, so I'd encourage.
Are they picking up our show, the Shrimp Tank? What do you think?
Yeah, I think they might just miss it, but then they're gonna hear some live pitches. It's gonna be like a miniature episode of the show. So Mr. Wonderful, Damon, and Robert are going to hear some real live pitches from founders in the FAU entrepreneurial ecosystem.
What, were they on the budget? They couldn't get Mark Cuban? What happened?
He was pretty expensive.
He was like at the top list, like each other person was like $250 to get there, and then he was like $1 million, right?
Yeah,
is that what might have happened?
Yeah,
I had a feeling.
It just sounded like he didn't really want to do it necessarily. So we didn't get Mark, but there's plenty of investors there, and they will consider these pitches for actual real investment live in real time. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Nice. Well, let's jump right into our guests today. Right. This is the first time in the Shrimp Tank that we're bringing two guests in the new studio. So pretty exciting. We have some FU students sitting in as well. You know, hello, everyone in the audience. But we got Alicia and Edward Boateng, and it's always exciting to have, you know, a couple on the show because you guys are running multiple ventures at the same time and have to go home and not argue, right? Have a peaceful night and sometimes say, hey, not right now. We're on a date, like not too much business, I'm sure. So I guess to kick things off, we're going to switch things up. Tell us a funny story where that might have occurred, where too much business got involved on the personal side. And then we're going to get into the business a little bit.
All the time. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost hard for us to stop talking about business.
Yeah.
But we make it happen. But, you know, early on, we decided that we were going to have a cutting point to where we would stop talking about business.
Who's guilty more? Is Edward or Alicia?
I'd say I'm more guilty.
You are? Okay. Person. I got that sense because you were in the Shrimp Tank studio and you're like, call came in. You're like, oh, this is an important business meeting. I could tell you grabbed it and you're no nonsense. I could tell you the whole attire, of course.
I'm usually the morning person. So I'm up at 5 a.m. and I'm like ready to go. And by like 8 o'clock at night, I'm like, don't even bother having a conversation.
Is this true, Edward?
Yes, it is. And to answer your question, one of the funniest ones is when we have some clients that are actually calling at 9 at night when we know that business hours pretty much close at about 6 o'clock on a Friday. So
on a Friday, of course, right? It is nuts. Somehow, you know, people reach out on a Friday and sometimes expect return phone calls, expect return emails. You know, I run a mobile app that's 24/7. I get emails Friday nights. I'm like, then they email a second time, like from 7 o'clock, then at 9 o'clock, they're like, hello. I'm like, yeah, it's a Friday, right? Or on a holiday like Thanksgiving, right? It's kind of nuts.
After year 5 is when we really kind of tighten the reins. So at 7 o'clock, at that point, it's pretty much shut down, and then we'll call those people back at 9 o'clock the next day.
Those people being your customers. So with that, let's get into the business. One of the things we coach our entrepreneurs to do here at FAU is to have a powerful, compelling elevator pitch. So give us yours, your 60 to 90 seconds max. What's your business all about?
I am Alícia Boateng. I'm a celebrity cup designer. I'm a branding consultant, and I am also in real estate. I create cups,
Beautiful.
design cups that empower women to feel beautiful, confident, and just, being comfortable in their own skin.
All right. Solid and
Hard.
short elevator pitch.
I don't know if you
Very
could beat
good.
this, Edward. I don't know. That was pretty good.
It is always good. From the real estate side, we want to make sure that we're your realtors for life at the end of the day. Whichever part of you need from contract to close, we're there to make sure that we can help you. So we want to help you achieve your goal.
All right. Nice.
And I'm looking down. You have a pretty big ring on, right? So were you a pass?
Well, I'm a university professor. I think I recognize that. I went to the University of Florida in the SEC. Is that a Clemson ring?
Yes, this Clemson ring is in honor of my son who passed. So he went to Clemson, then actually went to the University of Florida, and I also graduated from the University of Florida in the class of 1988. Member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, Zeta Phi chapter. So I just wanted to get a shout out to the noobs.
All right, yo, here we go.
Get that
Shout
in
out
there.
to the Gator Nation. Nice. So tell us a little bit more about the business. So one thing to start with is you were in wedding planning before. This is very different. What was the most difficult thing about making that transition?
It actually wasn't. In branding, I teach my clients that you need to teach people how to see you. You need to train them how to see you. So when I started my wedding planning business, I officially started it when I was 21, but I started in the business when I was 18. So at that time, by the time I was 21 and I incorporated the business, I realized I want to do high-end weddings, $100,000 weddings and so forth. So now I need to figure out, how am I going to convince a 21-year-old? How is a 21-year-old going to convince the parents of the bride to hire me and to pay $100,000 and up with their prized possession of their daughter's wedding and so forth?
Well, yeah, and that price tag. So that is
Yes.
all about branding. So
Absolutely.
let's talk about it, how there could be some potential synergy there. What is the price point for the mugs? Is this also kind of a high-end product or a mass market type of thing? Tell us a little more.
The prices for the cups, they start at $27, so they range from $27 to $57.
All right, so they're not
So,
ultra high-end.
no.
They're just nice.
Not at all, but it's really the messaging behind the cups.
Okay, one of the things, a question from a student that they were dying to know, how did you get connected to celebrities and celebrities using your cups? Everybody always wants to know those things.
So a little bit of background. I am obsessed with coffee. I have been drinking the same brand for almost 33 years now. And so one day I was having coffee with him and I said to him, if my coffee cup was as enriching as my coffee is every day, it would make my mornings that much different. And so immediately I grabbed the first sheet of paper that I saw. I started writing down how I wanted my coffee cup to feel, because, you don't really think about that. Like when you have a coffee cup, you just grab whichever one you want and, you go on about your day. But I wanted my coffee cup to make me feel beautiful. I wanted it to make me smile. I wanted it to make me, I knew that would be like the start of the day. So I wanted to start that off, obviously, on a positive note. So that being said, because of my marketing background with my wedding planning, I figured, okay, when I design the cups, I'm going to take it to the next level. And this is going to be a cup that, although others are very talented and can create the same cup, I'm going to take my marketing to the next level. That being said, to answer your specific question, it was during COVID, and, obviously we're in real estate as well. So Ed decided that we were going to create an oasis in our backyard, figuring that we have to be there 24/7 now. So I had left a couple of days before that, I had left. I received an order from Los Angeles, and I was like, okay, well, obviously treated it as I would any other order. And that specific day, I left my phone inside. So we were outside, we were talking, catching up, and so forth. I then had to use the restroom. So I go back inside. It was like 2 hours later. I go back inside and my phone is just like blowing up with orders. And when
Wow.
I look, I said, oh my goodness. I remembered, I said, oh my goodness, I received an order from Los Angeles. Let me check this person's Instagram. And sure enough, she had posted it on Instagram. She had tagged me and, she directed everyone to start following me and to start placing orders. And coincidentally, that was a couple of weeks before Mother's Day.
Oh, nice.
So the rest is history, really.
And who was this celebrity? Who was
Tiffany Haddish.
Okay.
She's a comedian. And so from there, it's been, Octavia Spencer, it's been Kim Fields. We've gotten lots of mentions on multiple publications. And what I like to refer to as my Academy Award is that we were asked to participate on The View for their holiday segment.
And does that just come random? Like you got an email because they saw everything happening on social media, or did
It
you have to
doesn't
go out
come
and
random. I
reach
definitely
out?
have to work to get all those.
Absolutely. No, but I
accolades.
mean like more because sometimes people think just like an email comes in, I really want to go a tad deeper. Like
Well,
you probably pushed like to your contacts to eventually get that
yes.
opportunity to present, hey, this is why I should be on The View. Right. So that's kind of where I was going with that.
Actually, no. They approached me.
did?
The View actually did approach me. However, all of my other media relationships really start with networking and just positioning myself out there and just becoming relatable. I think that's really important, to become relatable, because the editors and publishers are humans just like we all are. You know what I mean? So if you approach them in a way where hey, this is what I have. I'd love to have a chat with you and just take it on.
And where do you do that? Because everyone says like, oh, just reach out, but you don't have their contact information, right? You don't have access. So I love what you're saying, because so often, people you see on the Shark Tank, they're like, well, why didn't you get into Walmart? Right. And like that, this would be perfect. And everyone else sitting in the audience, like, well, I don't have a contact at Walmart to reach out to. Right. So what is your trick, to get access to these individuals? Is it through social media? Is it another access point?
It's definitely through social media, and I believe you have to really apply you have to research with what's the word?
Just filtering to the right individuals. It sounds like what you're saying.
Exactly.
Just
You really have to find your niche.
doing your due diligence. You're not just like reaching out
Exactly.
like, hey,
You're
here,
not
and
gonna
spamming
pitch.
people.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm not going to pitch to someone that handles stories that are that are monetary or just business and so forth. I'm going to pitch to somebody that handles, lifestyle and so forth.
No, I love that point, because often people think it's harder than it is, right? They're posting on their board, but not going out and engaging on the others. And one of my tips is just go ahead and find some contacts at that company and start engaging with many of the employees there. And then slowly reach out through the DMs saying, hey, I love the content that you and your brand are putting out. And then slowly drip in, something that might be helpful for them, but not soliciting them.
Not
Right.
at all.
Often to you, you'll say, hey, buy my product. And these individuals are like, I don't even know who this person is. They go next.
Exactly.
But if you slowly drip in there and they keep seeing you commenting on their posts and feeds, then eventually you could go ahead and ask for help. And sometimes asking for help is the answer. Like, hey, I'm looking to get help to figure out who I should talk to. And then they're like, oh, it's actually me, right? And you're like, oh, it is, but you knew the whole time.
In real estate, there's a term that's called, coming from contribution. And I think that obviously can be applied to several different industries. And that's really the mentality that I use when I do reach out to them. I'm coming from a place of contribution. If they're looking for a specific story or a specific product and so forth, if I don't have the product and perhaps I know somebody that may, then I reach out to them and say, hey, Lisa, I don't have this product, however my friend Jennifer handles this, and perhaps you two, and I can be the connector.
So walk Kevin through this, right? Kevin always is reaching out to me every holiday for Christmas. Like, Jason, what do you get your wife for Christmas? And I'm always giving him tips. Then Mother's Day, then Valentine's Day. He's always reaching out and texting me, and make believe he's your customer, right? He reaches out through your website. What happens? Go through the journey that Kevin's going to go on?
Well, the good thing is that if she's a coffee lover or a tea lover, you're in the right place. And so I usually like to ask if somebody reaches out to me and they don't know what type of designs, because I do have several designs and several collections available. I ask, what's her favorite color? What's the color that that she loves the most? Is there a combination of different colors and so forth? Because sometimes there may not be a color that she likes, and we may have to do a custom cup and so forth.
Okay. Interesting. Let's talk a little bit more about the real estate side of things. So you mentioned the importance of maintaining that partnership. Real estate's been pretty tough the past couple of years, right? Not a ton of transactions. We've had those higher interest rates and a lot of homeowners with low interest rates. Very hard to move, not a lot of inventory. Tell us a little bit more about the business. Are you focused on South Florida, a specific type of real estate, commercial, residential, size, location, etc.?
Well, we actually work with both residential and commercial. I'd say 75% residential, 25% commercial.
All right.
I just wanted to back up a little bit to just answer one of the questions that the gentleman had as well too. One of the things that we do is everything is intentional. Everything that we do is intentional.
Intention.
Okay.
There we go.
It wasn't just by luck, you know. We did take a lot of time in thinking how we were going to actually link with those type of people, and in doing so, you know, we had failures, but within those failures came
Sure.
opportunities. So I just want to make sure that you guys understand that it's never just by luck. It is intentional in how you put forth your efforts to make sure that you are successful. So with that, I'll leave.
No, that's
leave that
important,
one
because
alone.
often people see the story that she went through and like, oh, she got so lucky because
Right.
that one celebrity. You're
And it
like,
wasn't luck.
yeah, you did 150 items before that failed. Right on the 151st one, if you know you had that opportunity, but you had to do the 151st to get that next one, of course. So
That is
So
correct.
I had a quick question from the audience. So
Yes.
to get all this stuff done, multiple businesses, tons of different outreach, branding, brand consultation, do you have employees or use assistants? One of the audience wants to know today. Or do you wear all the hats still?
During the holiday seasons, and when I know, you know, we usually at this point we can predict ahead of time when we're going to get busy and so forth. So we do bring in a staff to help with the cups during the holiday season, and we obviously plan ahead so that we have enough inventory to keep us floating. There is a lot of times where I have to jump in and do cups and so forth, and I'm happy to do so because it's part of my passion and what I love.
We've got another question, and it's from Noah, who's not even here today, but he's out there on the internet always watching. And he says, where do you see your company 10 years from now?
So Alícia Boateng Designs, I see it as what I, in essence, and what it is right now, a boutique store. I have thought about putting it in big box stores and so forth, and I personally feel that it'll lose the connection that I have with my customers. So I just want to, I definitely want to continue it being a boutique store and a particular store that you go to for that particular purpose.
All right. So, and specifically, he was asking about other niches, other product lines. I could envision a lot of things similar that could also be redesigned. Are you thinking about that for the future?
Yes, actually, we do wine glasses, we do beer mugs, and so forth. So yes, we have, and we'll continue. Oh, yes, the Stanley
Stanleys and Yetis
Stanley
that have become
cups and so
popular, yeah.
forth. We have all of those as well.
Oh, all right. Well, let's jump into our next segment of the show then, where you get to hear a couple of pitches, right? So I like to bring the guest one related pitch that's an established company and what they think it's that company on the way up, flat, kind of on the way down, and then an idea that somebody brought to me. So
Okay.
maybe a student, somebody from the community. So the first one, you just mentioned it. They got hot, too hot, so hot a few years ago. They were flying off the shelves. But since then, you've got Yeti into the market and whatever, but specifically Stanley Cups. As we sit here today, they have lots of opportunities. You see them going up or kind of, well, they had their excitement and too many competitors now. What's your analysis?
That's a great question. I feel that Stanley does a great job with their social media and their marketing and so forth. And, they do have a target market. And I feel that if they start shifting a little bit with regards to their target market and perhaps start adding things that are cups that are more attractive to like the younger crowd and perhaps at a lower price point, I think that they would definitely continue on the high hill that they're aiming to go for.
What about you, Edward? What do you think about this? I want to see your perspective.
My perspective is pretty simple. I believe as long as you stay consistent in what it is that you're doing and the bottom line doesn't fall below 80%, and I'm coming this from I used to be a commercial underwriter as well. So I'm always looking at it from those terms. As long as that number stays where it's at, you should still continue to grow. Scalability should be there. As long as scalability is there, you can continue to make as much as you want, as long as the profit margins are making sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought he was going to say, what's a Stanley Cup?
The 50 when you open up the door, right? My wife has a ton of
hockey
them.
at first, but
My wife has so many of them, and I don't know how they pull it off personally. Like they have these drops with like Hello Kitty.
Yes.
They have these drop, and my wife's online like waiting, and then all of a sudden like there was a major bug on the website recently where everyone couldn't get them that were waiting. It was in their shopping cart. They have phenomenal customer service, but I don't know how they're going to hold on to it. Unlike brands like Tesla, right, where like they're manufacturing a vehicle that you fall in love with, or an iPhone, right, where there's this piece of technology and it completely makes sense, or jewelry with luxury brands where you have brands like, Tiffany, Cartier, like Louis Vuitton. Like I get it, right? But I just like the mug side. It's just like, I'm interested to see if they could do that volume in the future, right? Because the amount of volume that they're doing is crazy. And I don't know if they could hold on to that volume versus like your brand is, you're like, no, I want to stay as a boutique brand, which makes so much sense. But their volume is out of control right now. And I don't know, can they hold on to that volume for that long? If it's possible at the cost per one versus going luxury. Like then all of a sudden, like it's a different animal if they go after like we are the Louis Vuitton of these cups, of course, or come up with new inventions. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the luxury portion of it, because I recently read an article stating that, the Hermes and the Louis Vuitton and the Dior's, they're suffering right now because of the fact that they're like the old money has already unfortunately passed. So now they're having to market to like the Gen Zs and so forth, and they have to like almost rebrand themselves within the rebranding, within the branding of the business, because not everybody has the thousands of dollars to pay for the Hermes bag, that used to be before. So they're definitely having to rebrand and just re-strategize their business model.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the next one. This will be more fun. So this is a pitch I recently heard, and I'm very interested to get your opinion on it. In some ways, it's not completely unrelated to what you're working in. The name of the idea, company, ventures really says it all, right? So it's custom canes. It's canes, exactly. It's not actually fully customizable, but it's modular enough to think about colors, style, different add-ons, and kind of flair, optionality. And that is the market that they want to go into. What do you think?
I'm going to let him answer because I think he...
When you're saying state like walking canes?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure FAU has the Divine 9 here. Am I correct? Do you know what the Divine 9 is? If not, I'll be happy to let you know.
Yeah, what is the Divine 9?
Okay, you have Kappa Alpha Psi, Alpha Phi Alpha.
Okay,
these are the fraternities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, and we are known for having the red and white canes. So depending on the niches that a person wants to get into, that would be something that you want to market to. At least 1911 Kappa Alpha Psi people.
Interesting. So they are going in a totally different direction, but I like that direction better, right? If you look at the kind of like
Sigma
the
Gamma
elderly
Rho.
population, they may not have, the incentive or the motivation to really have a cane that looks fly. They may just not care, I think it's a tough call, but it's interesting. I do like customizable in general.
It might be more of a gift though, right? Not that the person
Okay,
themselves
here
are
we
buying
go.
it. Like I think about my mother who uses a cane, and like whatever the cheapest one is, she's taken, or the hospital gave her.
And you wanted to
on-
flex on her friends at the
yeah,
at the
but
senior
ready,
home.
if she's walking around a lot and like you need to get grandma's a gift and it's marketed correctly. Like if I started seeing something in my feed like you were just mentioning, and I was like, I have no idea what to get grandpa, I might be like, oh, that's actually a pretty good idea, right? And then you give a nice gift and it's customized to their liking, and they'll probably be pretty appreciative. So it might not be that individual purchasing it. I look at it as a gift idea, but then it would work. I'm hot on this idea.
All right. Well,
Definitely
we'll see
for
what happens.
fraternities, though.
And canes are not
Yeah,
cheap.
That I'll
I
tell you.
like it.
You could actually put a nice marker on the cane. Probably sell them for $99 with no problem.
I have 2 canes in my car right now that are Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity canes. I'm telling you, $60.
Wow.
Yeah.
See,
All right.
So if they're marketing to the right niche that they have, then they should be more successful, at least moving in the right direction. They have to do that homework.
All right. Let's go with some more fun questions now. You mentioned you love coffee so much. What's your favorite go-to order? You already mentioned a brand, but you didn't mention it specifically. What is it?
It's Barney's Coffee, Santa's White Christmas.
where do you get this? I've never heard this brand before.
Thankfully, Publix.
Oh, Publix.
Barney's used, and I'm totally dating myself, but Barney's used to have shops in the malls, just like Starbucks has. And slowly but surely, they started closing down. And then their original flagship store is actually in Winter Haven, Florida. So they have them there. But like I said, luckily Publix has it. So I get it through there. And then, of course, at last minute would also be Amazon.
And Edward, is this your favorite brand as well for coffee? Are you a coffee drinker as well, Dale?
Well, I used to drink Blue Mountain a lot, but I like to. I can't drink it as much anymore because I'm just getting older and it starts to give me acid reflux.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, I have to drink my nice waters and things of that nature.
So what's your
But
thoughts?
I like her coffee.
What about good old Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts? What's your opinion on both of those brands?
I prefer Dunkin' Donuts.
Jason, those things you
Edward,
drink.
Edward
are-
had no comment. I saw him. He
Jason-
moved the mic. He's like, not even discussing those two
Well,
on
it's
there.
a different conversation, right? Those things you buy from Starbucks are milkshakes. They're not coffees anymore. Like, stop calling it coffee. All right. I see all the swirls on the side and all the
And
stuff
so
dumped
high in sugar.
in. Yeah.
Lots of sugar.
It's not coffee anymore. It's
Yeah.
just a milkshake, but it makes you feel better to be like, I'm just grabbing a coffee.
Yeah. Isn't it funny that it's like when people go get a salad and you're like, I just want to get a salad. I'm like, no, you didn't. Like, look what you're adding into the salad. You're adding bread on top, right? And then croutons and then cheeses, then fried chicken. I'm like, it's no longer a salad anymore.
Mhm.
But that's your point with coffee. It's
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, so you brought up food. I read something interesting about our guest. So she doesn't eat tacos because she doesn't eat with her hands. So I've got a question. If one of our promising entrepreneurs in the audience comes up with an idea, a device, so you could eat tacos, would you give them another chance?
Yes, if they come up with a device where I don't have to use my hands, absolutely.
Can you imagine?
Wouldn't it be a fork and a knife? Like, what am
Yeah.
I missing?
Well,
no,
I
no,
usually
no.
travel with
That's
my
not
own
the
fork and knife
taco
in my
experience.
purse.
Oh,
Now,
I guess.
I just wanted to ask that because then I could picture her with this stupid device at like a Taco Bell doing the weirdest thing ever, right? And you know, you're there, poor you just kind of sitting around like we got the devices out, tacos.
Yeah,
being
she'll eat a
delivered.
chicken wing with a knife and fork. Trust me,
Oh.
I've
Yeah,
sat
I've
there and
seen it.
watched it. Yeah.
So corn on the cob invented that, right? I think when I was a little kid, I put the things on the side and then I could eat corn on the cob without using my hands.
Yeah.
Well,
So they
I
pu-
cut
they did
my corn on the cob. I cut it.
Yeah.
And the reason why I do that is because I used to have braces when I was younger, and you're told to not eat corn on the cob with braces. So I got used to cutting it off. Going out to dinner with me is quite an experience.
Edward's holding back right now. He has a couple funny stories. Edward, give us the funniest story going out to dinner with her.
That was when we first met not too long ago. Not too
Not too
long ago.
long ago.
10 years ago. But when we were eating, and she's like, well, I really don't eat with my hands. So I was like, all right, that's when I did the chicken wing thing. So got a chicken wing, said, well, let me see how you eat this. Pull out the knife and fork and I was like, okay, you're good.
All right. Well, we have one more thing, and this week's it's some pretty serious office hours. So, as the resident entrepreneurship professor here at FAU, I try to bring a question and solve a problem, or at least give an answer, maybe right or wrong, but we'll try to come up with one. And this week's a little bit tough. So, the question is, coming from a founder, how do you determine how much equity you should give to a new co-founder that you're onboarding?
Okay.
It's tough.
Who's taking most of the financial risk?
To date, the founder has taken on all the financial risk, but they're not too deep into the pool. I'd say it's about $50K.
And they're going to be taking on partners as well at this time.
Yeah. They're going to need to add a co-founder for a particular skill set.
And they're both going full time, because often I see someone doing 20% and 180%. Both 50-50?
Yeah, theoretically, they're both doing full time, or as much as they can. Yeah.
As much. Okay, so theoretically, it wouldn't be 50-50.
Well, I'm gonna encourage a long vesting schedule. So we'll work that out and see how it goes.
So let's look at it like this. What I can do is first start with a story. I was a commercial underwriter.
Yeah.
And then I said, you know what? Let me get into let's get into the real estate business. I was doing that as my full-time job. And the only way that was going to actually work is if I did real estate full-time. So I had to let one go, walk on faith, and know that I'm going to basically have to kill what I eat. And it pushes you to think better, make better decisions, and be more intentional on how you're going to make sure that you succeed. So to answer your question, the other person that would be coming in, it's definitely not going to be a 50-50 type deal.
Well, no, definitely not. I would agree on that. But that still gives us a pretty big window. I don't know if they're going to be satisfied. They may still be sitting in the office.
Say 90-10 with looking at I'd go to the second quarter of the second year. And at that point, if we're moving in the direction that we need to, then we can start looking to get a little bit more financing coming in from that person.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair answer. I'll add my 2 cents. I deal with this a lot, right? Because a lot of startup companies or founders are solo entrepreneurs, and they don't possibly have the entire skill set they need. They need more resources. They need more people. Oftentimes, it's non-technical founders who need somebody technical, an engineer, developer, software creator, essentially. And that can be tough. So a couple things, and again, it's challenging. Those factors definitely play a role. How much has been invested into the business? What is the business conceivably worth? Unfortunately, a lot of times it's very difficult to determine what a business that's pre-revenue, very early stages is worth. Or worse, they don't like when I tell them this, it's not really worth anything. But the equity does have some significant potential value, so it's important. So it's a challenging thing, and every situation is unique. I like to get a lot more variables, but I think the most important thing is finding the right partner, right? And then sometimes it really comes down to, what is it going to cost you to get them? Because that core team, that first initial team, right, those co-founders, those are often critical in determining the eventual success or failure of the business, right? So if you can't get that person for 10, but they're the absolute perfect person, and you can build an incentive where, okay, maybe they get 10 after the first 24 months, and then another 5 on the table, and also some stock options. A lot of times it comes down to negotiation, but I think the most important thing is getting the perfect person that can build a successful company with you. Because if you two don't build a successful company, it doesn't matter who owns any percent of what, because it's worthless.
That's correct.
50% is 0-0.
Yeah. Yeah, I own a lot of equity that's worthless.
Yeah.
those good old advisory shares. They love giving those to the old professor.
No, but you bring us some great points, because so often entrepreneurs go in and fight about what you just said, for months and months, like I deserve 50%, and they get nothing going. And eventually, like literally they can't even get out of the gate to build the brand together. And then other times people create agreements that are 50-50, and then they realize like one person's not doing anything, right? They're just hanging around and they're really not that into it. So I like your answer. It's like figure something out early on and then eventually come back to it, right? And have a lot of metrics tied to it. I always say numbers never lie, right? Often people say, well, I did this, I did that. It's like, yeah, you went to an event, you did that, but like what came out of the event? Like show me the real data to support it.
Yeah, that's a great
And
addition. Just tying it to specific
Measurable things.
metrics that are
Correct.
easy to measure, not kind of vague things. I see a lot of people will put
Very
goals in there and they're vague and
Very.
they're speculative. And it's like, how are you going to determine if that was achieved or not? Like, yeah, you got to tie it to some really hard data, something rigorous and robust where you can just point to the scoreboard. Easy.
But definitely when you have a dream, right, and that dream then becomes your company and whatever that may be, scalability is always the biggest thing that a lot of people just run into, like smack into the wall. Can we do it, and can we mass produce it fast enough to stay with the demand? And if that isn't, then you're going to have an issue.
Yeah,
That's true.
And the experience that that your end user needs as well. The experience is actually even that much more important, because those are going to be the people that when they're at home, they will sit there and have those conversations saying, hey, this was great.
They're your ambassador.
And oh yeah, I ordered it and I got it say 3 days ago, but I ordered it now and I got it 2 months later. That's not really going to do too well for you if you can't. If your scalability is just so far off that you can't meet with that demand and they really love your idea.
Yeah. You got to be able to deliver at the end of the day.
That's
Well,
correct.
Jason, I already covered the most important news around here at FAU, and that is NobleCon and Croc Tank coming next week. Other than that, if you're a student out there, study for your exams. We're moving into the exam period,
Yes, it is.
and then we'll be wrapping up the end of the semester.
Yeah. So I guess leave us with a couple of remarks, each of you. What is your best tip to a new entrepreneur out there?
My best tip is just to remain consistent and true to yourself, and believe in yourself. And I'm going to bring a little bit of faith into it. Whoever you believe in, if it's God, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, just pray to them and just ask for strength and perseverance, because you're going to need that in the business world.
Yeah, I pledged back in 97, so it's been a long time, but I'm going to do what my Dean of Pledges always told us. Love many, trust few, always paddle your own canoe.
Nice.
I'll say it again. Love many, trust few, always paddle your own canoe. And you might pick up a shrimp while you're there.
All right.
Throw that line in the water and catch a shrimp. I love it. Well, thanks for joining us here on the Shrimp Tank. Everyone tuning in.
Thank you
We'll
for
be
having
back
us.
Thank
next
you.
Wednesday, right around 1 o'clock. Tune in, leave some comments, and Kevin will ask your questions to our guests next week. Take care, everybody.